Hello and welcome, and if you are watching from Germany, happy election day. So let's take a look at building another cryptocurrency trading bot with Python and Binance API. This time we are using the Stochastic Slow, RSI and MACD in combination with the target profit and stop loss mechanism. Please watch this video beforehand, linked in the video description, otherwise it might be inconvenient to follow along. Let's quickly recap the strategy we are considering. So we are buying when 3 conditions plus a trigger condition is fulfilled. So the K and D line has to be between 20 and 80, the RSI above 50, and the MACD should be above the signal line. The trigger condition is that in the last n time steps, both the K and D line have to cross below 20. Take a look at the selling conditions. We are implementing a stop loss system where we are taking a certain amount, for example 99.5% of the buying price as our stop loss limit. Or, and this is the desired outcome, we are reaching a target profit of 0.5% on top of the buying price. Important disclaimer, cryptocurrency and in specific automated trading is bearing a huge amount of risk and may result in a total loss of your invested capital. Cryptocurrencies are not regulated and the Python Binance API wrapper is not official. Even more important disclaimer, don't blindly follow my instructions. I'm providing you ideas and show you example trades. You need to do your own research, assess and manage the risk based on your own risk profile and make proper adjustments. Do not execute code you don't understand 100%, and losses are part of trading. That's reality. Be aware of the risk you want to take. Okay, so as you see, I already did some stuff here. So I ran my Binance Keys notebook where I'm storing my API key and my API secret. You don't have to do that. You just need to define both within this notebook. This just for data protection reasons. Then I'm importing client from Binance to connect to Binance, importing pandas for data handling, TA to calculate technical indicators conveniently, NumPy for conditional checkings, and we need time to, you will see in some minutes, to avoid excessive requests to Binance. Then I'm setting up the client. With this one, I can both pull data from Binance and also execute orders. All right. And in the next step, just copy pasting a function you should be familiar with. In case you aren't, please check the linked video in the video description. So this function get minute data is just pulling data from Binance for a specific symbol for a certain time interval, 1 minute, 15 minutes, 1 hour, and so on, and is going X minutes back here, right? So I'm quickly showing you how this is working. I'm calling this function get minute data, provide, for example, Cardano ADA in relation to the US dollar stable coin, and I'm taking 1 minute time steps, and I'm just going 100 minutes back. And with that, I'm getting a data frame like this. So the very last row here is containing the most recent price. So if I'm doing that again, I'm getting updated data here, right? All right. Now we are creating another function, which is calculating our technical indicators. So we're just naming that apply technicals. And this function is just taking a data frame, one you just saw, right? And we need to calculate the K line. So the K line is just taking the momentum functions, then the stock function. We have to provide the high, the low, and the close, the window of 14 days, and we need a smooth window of 3 days. Then the D line is just a simple moving average over the K line. So we can just take the K line here and roll over that, define 3 time steps here and take the mean. All right, now the RSI, again, we are taking the momentum functions here, then RSI, provide the close column and define the window as 14 time steps, or rather 14 minutes in our case. And last but not least, the MACD can just use the trend functions from the TA here. Use the MACD diff, the difference between the MACD and the signal line, and we are providing the close price. And because we are doing some rolling and window calculations, we have to drop the upcoming NAN values. We can just do that by using drop NA and then in place true. Right, so I'm quickly showing you how this function is working. So we just need to call it, apply technicals on our data frame. And if we are printing out the data frame now, you see we are getting some new columns here containing our technical indicators. All right. Next, we will create our trigger logic, or rather our buying logic. And I'm using a class for that. You can work with functions if you're more familiar with that. So I'm just calling the class signals, use a constructor here, and you don't have to worry much about this. So this is just taking a certain input. So in our case, our data frame, and the legs are just the steps we want to go back. I've explained that in the previous video. Now this is just assigning the provided variables, data frame and legs. And now we're using a so-called method, which is get trigger. And this is the exact same function as I'm using in the previous video, but yeah, in a if you want to call it like this, in an object-oriented way, right? So I'm creating, if you remember, I'm creating an empty data frame and populate this data frame with Boolean mask to account for several legs I'm shifting back, right? So I'm looping for I in range, and then I'm looping over the provided legs in the constructor here. And I'm creating a mask here and take the data frame I'm providing and shifting that by the iteration, and check if that's below 20, right? So this is just the trigger. And also the same, so I can just copy paste here, the same for the D line, right? Because we want to check if both lines are crossing below 20, right? And we are checking that for every iteration here. So if I'm providing, as an example, if I'm providing 3 legs here, we are shifting in the first iteration by 1, by 2, and in the third by 3, right? Okay. Now we are just appending this Boolean mask to our data frame we are creating here. Ignore the index. And afterwards, we are returning the vertical sums of this data frame, right? And with that, we are just checking, as I explained in the previous video, if we have a trigger in the last n time steps, right? All right. Now I'm adding another method here, which I'm just calling decide, and this is just accounting for everything. So is the trigger fulfilled, and are all buying conditions fulfilled, right? So first of all, we are starting with the trigger. So we are assigning a new column to the provided data frame, just calling that trigger, and we're using numpy where, and we're just referencing to the outcome of this method here, right? So if there is a trigger, we're getting a 1. If not, we're getting a 0. All right. And with that, we can create our buy column. And now we need the trigger condition first. So we can just use self-df trigger, then use and, going in the next line here. And now we are checking for the K line, if that's between 20 and 80, the D line, if that's between 20 and 80, the RSI, if that is above 50, and the MACD, if that is above 0. So I'm just copy pasting that from my other screen because I'm lazy typing right now. So we got that. So again, these are all the conditions, right? So first of all, the trigger, if there is a trigger, if the K line is between 20 and 80, if the D line is between 20 and 80, and if the RSI is above 50 and the MACD is above the signal line. All right. So if that's the case, I want to have a 1. If not, I want to have a 0. All right. Okay. So I'm quickly showing you how this is working. So if I'm creating a so-called instance of this class, so I'm just calling that ints, you can call it whatever you like, by providing the data frame. So we have to provide this data frame because of this constructor method. If we won't have it, we don't need to provide a data frame here. And we also have to provide the legs. I'm just showing you for 5 legs here. With that, I'm getting an instance, and with this instance, I can call a certain method here. So I can just use decide on this instance. And doing so, I'm ending up with a data frame like this. So we have 2 new columns, trigger and buy here. So if we want to take a look at the buying signals, we can do it like so. And at least for 5 legs, we're getting 2 buying signals here. So if you're increasing that, the probability that you're getting more buying signals is increasing, but it is also biased, right? Because you're going a lot of time steps back. So be careful with that. I will use 25 legs just to provoke some more signals so that I can show you an actual trade, right? So, but as we did in the previous video, we maybe took 3 or 5 legs here. But anyhow, let's continue with defining our strategy. So we are using a function for that. Provide a pair, which is just a cryptocurrency pair. Then a quantity, so the amount we want to trade. And we are setting the open position to false. And now we are just pulling data. So we are using our get minute data function. Provide the pair. We are going 1 minute. We are taking 1 minute time steps, and we are going 100 minutes back here. So of course you can add those as arguments in this function. As always, there's a lot of improvement potential here. After we have pulled the data, we are applying the technical indicators to that. So we're just calling our apply technicals function, and then we are getting an instance of our signal class, provide the data frame we are pulling here, and now, as I said, 25 time steps just to provoke some trades so that I can show you how a trade is looking like. But you should take way less legs, as said. Then we are using the decide method here, and with that, as I just showed you, you are getting a data frame with a trigger column and a buy column. And we need some feedback, so otherwise we won't see what's going on when pulling data. So we are just printing out the current close price here. Current close is, and then we are just taking the very last row of our close column here. You can do that by indexing for -1. All right. And after that, we are defining if we have a buying signal in our very last row. So this is the most recent price. Then we wanna buy the asset, right? So we are defining the order, client, create order, provide the pair as the symbol, the side as buy, the type as a market order, and the quantity as quantity. Right, and with that we want to have a feedback, so we are just printing out the order and we are extracting the buying price from this order. So an order is a dictionary containing some information. And what I'm doing here is I'm just filtering out the price of the order. So I'm using order, then looking for the fills, index for 0, and get the price out of that. And as this is a string value, I'm just typecasting that to a floating value. And with that, we have our buying price and calculate with that. Once we have placed an order, we are setting the open position to true. And that's it for our buying conditions, right? Pretty straightforward. Now we're getting to the selling part. So we are checking while the position is open. So we can just check while open position. So this is only true when we have placed the trade. Then I'm using the time library, take the sleep function, and just wait for half a second. So I'm doing that to avoid excessive requests to the Binance platform. This is optional. You don't have to do that. I recommend doing that. And now I'm again just pulling data. And here I'm going 1 minute back, or sorry, I'm taking 1 minute time steps or intervals, and I'm just going 2 minutes back. So you could also go 1 minute back. I just want to avoid that I'm getting an empty data frame here. So I'm always taking the last 2 minutes. As said, I would recommend that, but you don't necessarily have to do that. So it is enough if you are taking 1 probably. Okay, and so why am I doing that? To get the recent price, right? And now we are printing out some feedback here. So we want to know the current close. So we're just taking the close column and index for the very last row. We want to know our target price. So our current target is, and we said we want to have 0.5% profit on the trade. So we are just taking the buy price and multiply that with 1.005 here. And we also want to print out our stop loss limit. Current stop is, and that is just as defined, 99.8%, so 0.2% loss, right? So now let's take 0.5% loss. Otherwise, we will have a pretty near limit, and we are not getting the chance to win on the trade. So yeah, I'm taking it like so, but these are all parameters you have to define for yourself, right? So this is just, as explained in the beginning, or as said in the beginning in the disclaimer, these are just parameters you have to see what fits best on your trading strategy, right? But anyhow, now we are checking for both outcome possibilities. So first one is the stop loss. So we are just checking if the close price is smaller or equal to the buy price times 0.995. So this is the stop loss condition, or the close price is larger than 1.005 times the buy price. So this is the desired outcome. This is our stop condition. All right. And now we are just placing the selling order. So I'm copy pasting syntax here. Change that to sell here. And print out the order. And after that, I want to break this while loop. So if we sold the asset, we want to exit this because the open position isn't true anymore. All right. So that's it. Let's zoom a bit out that you see the whole construct here. So we can execute that. And so how is this function working? If I'm calling that only once, so if I'm just calling the strategy, provide ADA USDT and buy 50 tokens here. I'm just getting the feedback that the current close is 2.2 something here, right? So if I wanna actually trade that over the whole day or over the night, I could use an end this loop here while true and define it like so. But again, I would set a half a second waiting time after each data poll here. So if we're doing that like so, we can fire our bot, and now we see I should zoom a bit in, sorry. And now we see that we're getting the current close price. And now this can take a lot of time, right? If the first signal is occurring, but this can also take some seconds. This can take minutes, but this can also take hours. So I'm doing a cut here, and I will show you an example outcome of a trade. All right, so let's take a look at an example. So you see we have placed an order here because all buying conditions are fulfilled, or rather we have a true value in the last row of our buy column here, right? So we are buying the asset and we are buying for 2.267. So the same as we are getting the last current close price before placing this order. Now you see after that we are getting another printout here. So I missed an empty space here. So you have to correct that in the function. But anyhow, now you see we're getting the current close, the current target, which is 2.278, and the current stop, or not current stop, but the stop, right? And now let's see if there is a selling order somewhere. So either we are triggering the stop, or we are getting the target price. Dependent on how the price is developing, you see this can take a lot of time here, but it seems to be that no selling order has been placed yet. But let's take a look at the current status here. No, okay. Now we are seeing that we have a selling order here. And now let's see if this trade was a good one. So we see that we have our current close at 2.279. And with that, we have reached our target, right? So our target was 2.278. And we have successfully placed a sell order. So this is not a representative example. As said, we were working with 25 legs, so this signal is not that valid signal probably. So it could also go in the other direction. I don't want to mislead you here. It's just an example. It could also hit the stop loss, and then we sold with a loss here, right? So let's see if we have placed another trade. No, bot is still running, but yeah, I think that's fine for the examples. And yeah, play around with that. As said, don't take this as an end-to-end trading bot. Make the proper adjustments. And yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. And I thank you very much for watching, and I'm looking forward to seeing the upcoming videos. Bye bye.